All right, we're live. I'm really pumped about how good this is starting to look. Like we got the audio synced. Hopefully we have the audio synced still. And then we're using our Sony sophisticated A7 III rig. I'm coming around to Sony, Bryce. It's doing all right. So I think I'm okay with it now. The only problem with it is you clearly can't handhold the thing. It literally, I gotta edit the behind the scenes of the Jay Leno thing, and I'm gonna be puking because it's just juddery, even in 1080p. So, but other than that, we've got the colors correct, we've got everything else looking decent. So, good news is I'm not gonna have to go broke buying a whole nother set of cameras. So that's a good thing.
So let's talk about that. How do you know that it looks so good? Were you watching last week? Were you tuning in? Because you weren't here last week.
Yeah, I watched you guys.
What did you think of that experience?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, it was what I expected. You guys to chat it up, and you took it easy on me. I was surprised. I thought for sure you'd have been tearing me apart a little bit more. I think it's good to. I think some people that have been following along get a different glimpse, get a little different look into Michelle's perspective of how this whole thing is going down. From the beginning when she wasn't sure if I was wasting time or not, all the way through to today, and that she's pretty heavily involved in it. And so that's been it was cool to watch and get her perspective on it. I mean, I know her perspective because she tells me all the time, but I think to some it's interesting that have been following the story and following along.
I got a lot of good feedback for sure.
Yeah,
because I think people appreciated her side of the story that maybe they hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
All right, so where were you last week? Like, why weren't you here? You want to kind of recap your trip?
Yeah, I went out to Los Angeles, and first up was we built a cart, which actually turned out really great with Chris Walters, and then Rob Bridgeforth from MTM came out. So the three of us fumbled through building a portable cart, just a different take. It fits the Leno garage. So it's a Jay Leno's garage is where we built it, so that Chris and Jeremy and their staff could care for the collection, and they were using just a garden hose and a really goofy setup. And so when I first went out there a year ago, we talked about, hey, let's figure out a way to get a Krenzla, get something out here that works well. And so Chris and I have been toying with different ideas of, do we put it on the wall and build some sort of case for it? Because the weather's great there. The weather would be fine because if it gets wet, it's okay. But the just pounding of sunlight on that spot would just beat everything up. And so he wanted to be able to take it inside and keep it nice. And so we were looking at different options. We were going to have the metal fabricators there build us some sort of cart, and then he started, searching around. And Chris came up with the idea to use a welding cart, because welding carts are more stout than like a regular plastic cart. And so everything where the oxygen tanks go, that's where the Krenzla sat. And then we bolted the Cox reel onto the side of the thing. And of course, if you watched the video, you saw we had to tap out the reel, which is completely unacceptable for something so expensive. So I created a whole tizzy with the whole Cox team again of saying, look, we got to figure this out. I mean, people shouldn't have to tap out their $200 hose reel. And so we've got them working on that to figure out a resolution to make sure that we're not getting powder coat stuck in there and you have to use a tap to clean it up. And then we had a great result. So it was a day of getting it set up and functional, and really happy how it turned out. So what I'll probably do is just create a kit. Obviously I won't sell the Harbor Freight thing. It's called the Vulcan welding cart, but we'll probably just create a kit. If you want the Leno cart version, go buy the Vulcan here. Here's a link, and then here's all the stuff you need to make this work. And it worked great. And then after I was done with that, I was supposed to go on the smoking tire, but apparently I got bumped. So, yeah, that was kind of frustrating because I booked it, 2 months in advance. Freddie Tavares hooked me up. He connected me with Matt. And this is how business generally works: is somebody connects you with somebody. And so my friend Freddie Tavares connected me with Matt Farah, who I don't know, and said, hey, you guys would probably get along. And so then we said, well, let's go on the podcast. I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'll book the trip around whenever you're available. And so we booked it that last week and scheduled it. And he said, well, let's follow up a little closer to the time. So like a week in advance, I said, hey, I'm scheduled. I'm still coming. Okay, great. Got you scheduled. That Sunday, confirmed one more time with email. Hey, I'll be out there. See you on Tuesday. Yep, no problem. Tuesday morning. Oh, shoot, I can't do it. And then I see another live at the same time. So anyway, not happy about that, but screw it.
Gotcha.
I'll do my own frickin' thing. I'll build my own podcast. So I just thought it would be fun to meet. Why not? And I don't preclude myself from going anywhere. And so I booked the entire, because I could go out. Chris and I could do the Leno thing anytime. And the Meguiar's guy, we could schedule anytime. So I booked it specifically for that. So whatever. Anyway, that didn't happen. I'm glad I didn't promote it too much. Actually, I probably should have, because then people would have let them know that it's just kind of a douche move. Yep. So then I went to Meguiar's and spent a day there and really dug into the product line of Meguiar's. I mean, they have hundreds of products. I think 400 plus products. And one of my thoughts on a lot of the Meguiar's products that are used, I suspect very, very few, if any, people that have chosen one or two or three Meguiar's products have tried them all. And I don't intend to try them all either. And so one way to fast track having to try them all and use them and test them and vet them is to go to the source and talk to the guys who have tried them all and have been a part of developing some of them. So Marcus and Nick, so Marcus is part of product development for and marketing for the Detailer line and the Mirror Glaze line, and then Nick is one of the, their trainer, head trainer, and so you put those two guys together, and we have a body of knowledge that we can pull from to learn about the products. Of course, everybody's interested in the new stuff, so we'll have a video of the stupid hybrid ceramic, whatever, wax that everybody's so excited to talk about, which I'm not at all. I have zero interest in it. Sorry to my buddies at Meguiar's. But what I have an interest in is information. And so Marcus and I think that video will probably be up in the next day or so, of getting from the horse's mouth what the stuff is and the methodology behind it, the why, why and what and how to use it and all of that stuff. So that was great. So we'll probably have some more Meguiar's stuff in the queue. I certainly want to have the what's it called, D1, the hyperdressing, D170 hyperdressing, and we talked about it's in works to come up with a 32-ounce version of that instead of having to purchase the gallon. I'll probably put the gallons in the store here shortly. But yeah, so I'm gonna have an engine cleaning and interior cleaning, and so some of the Meguiar stuff might enter. One of the most interesting things I found, which I'm gonna have to test a little bit more, this is obscure, but when you get wax or polish on your porous black trim, it's like impossible to get off. They have a product that apparently everybody else knows about that I don't know about, that I can't remember what the name of it. I think it was number 34 vinyl cleaner or something like that. That really worked well at cleaning off the black trim. I actually put some polish and some wax and let it dry on the plastic trim around their company Explorer, and it wiped off pretty easily. That was really cool. So just an obscure, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the product that I didn't even know existed in this massive array of products that can work well for a particular task.
That's good. You actually answered a couple questions here. Jason Markowitz on Facebook and James Bennett both kind of asked, is there anything from your trip to Meguiar's that you think is worth adding? to your process, or
yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff I have to try that I didn't try when I was there. I certainly need to add in 101 for heavy cutting, so I'm going to add that to our product line and polishing line. What I don't want to have is 37 polishes. I want to have like a system that people can fall back on, because most people don't have massive polishing experience. And I don't even know that I would classify myself as having massive polishing experience. I have more experience watching other people polish than most people in the world, but I don't, I don't have tens of thousands of hours, on a machine, and so a lot of the manipulation of or choice of product makes it complicated. So I'm looking for something simple. And so we talked quite a bit about diminishing versus non-diminishing, and I've settled on the idea that non-diminishing is a bit more sophisticated. You have to have more experience on a machine to really get as good of a result as you would with a diminishing polish, one that breaks down as you make successive passes. So it'll be interesting to see how I decide to hone and change my process based on some new information that I have. For instance, I always thought that I thought non-diminishing was older technology and diminishing was newer, when it's the opposite. So I don't even want to call it technology, but chemistry. So anyway, just some interesting stuff that I'll be sure to follow up on as in successive videos as I'm messing with stuff. So 110, 210 fix a lot of the issues that 105 and 205 polishes had, and they wipe off a lot easier. They don't clump up as much. They don't dust as much. So it solves all of those problems, but those are non-diminishing polishes, which I think are probably a little harder to manipulate. It requires a little more expertise and time, again, time on a machine to really know how to manipulate those better. And I'm pandering to myself, who I don't know that I'm interested in chasing it that far. When my M3 needs polished, I want to grab a darn polish and get a result. I don't want to have to manipulate 37 different things in order to get it to get the if I can get it 97% of the way there with just slopping some polish on, versus getting us 98.5% by having this massive sophisticated arsenal of bag of tricks, I'm going to choose the 97%. Not out of laziness, but out of learning curve and time it's going to take to figure that out. And you won't even figure it out on that car, and I want my car to have a good result at all times. So anyway, interesting stuff that I learned at Meguiar's.
Well, in this question, I'm stealing this from EW Sickles on Instagram. Kind of a behind-the-scenes question about Meguiar's. How do meetings like the one at Meguiar's get set up? Do you reach out to them and see if they'll host you for a day, or do they invite you out? How does that work?
Pretty much every one has been, I met somebody. So I met Nick and Marcus at SEMA, and then it was their idea. They invited me. And same thing happened with Optimum. I've reached out to Adams to go and tour their facility, but generally speaking, it's a mutual thing where, hey, we see what you're doing. So I don't generally show up and say, look, I've got this platform and you should let me in. It's generally there's a message that they have and something that I have an interest in, and the prerequisite for me is, would I want to go there if I didn't have a camera? Would I want to sit there and learn the stuff if I didn't have a camera? And then rather than producing and contriving the content when I'm there, I just set the camera up in the back of the room so that you can see what I'm seeing and listen to the questions that I'm asking. The same thing happens when I'm getting window tint done or something like that. I generally there's generally a mutual thing. Sometimes I ask, most of the time they're asking, yeah, hey, or would you like to come? And then my question is, can I bring the camera things? Can I bring everybody else along? And so there's an equal exchange of value there. There's a synergy that the two of us, they get the message out. I don't think I've ever seen a video where we kind of deep dive into these hundreds and hundreds of products that Meguiar's has. And so it's boring and it's long-winded and it's detailed, but if you were interested in the product, I think that's what I want to know. So I look at a lot of the videos I make more as a long-term resource rather than just a short-term, entertainment value. So yeah, that's how that happens. It's generally a mutual thing. A lot of times with the product companies, they reach out to me, and I don't go to most of the stuff that I'm invited to. I don't try most of the products that I'm invited. I have to have my own curiosity about it, or else it's not going to work. So at no point was I ever, I probably wish, or I wish I could be, but I'm not paid to do this stuff. I am in the long term paid to do it because I get to sell it or host a training or something like that is how I make a living. But I'm, we're not, companies aren't paying me to go out and tour their facility. I'm there because I want to be there.
Let me ask one more question about Meguiar's. This one from Facebook and Raz, and then a bunch of people seem to like this question. Sort of long, so give me a minute here. Everybody knows Meguiar's and that you can get their products over the counter at the local neighborhood Walmart. How do their products rank compared to our more obscure preferences? And do you think we are guilty of bypassing their offerings in favor of what we perceive as the more exotic product from the smaller manufacturers?
I think there's some validity in that conversation, and this is one of my, not fears, but one of my reasons for wanting to go there and dig into the product line and find some of the things that are their product line that have gotten left behind. My wager is that the chemistry behind a lot of the Meguiar stuff is far superior to the luck of the draw chemistry that a lot of these other more highly marketed newer products end up having. So, Adams or Griot's Garage, those are becoming more and more valid because they have more and more sources to employ chemistry into their product line. But take a lot of like Joe Schmo, like there's a lot of small local blender type stuff that doesn't, they don't have PhDs. They have guys that have just been mixing stuff for a long time. And that doesn't always mean that the guys that are mixing stuff don't know stuff. They might know some stuff that the PhDs don't. But if you're just putting both sets of people in a room, and the resources that Meguiar's have, especially now being backed by 3M, there's some significant cons to 3M owning them, but there are lots of pros, and that you would think that product development is something that they would have a leg up on. And so a lot of their products are less costly because they're able to make it in larger batches. And some of it have gotten lost in that they can't market all of these products, and they spend a lot of their time marketing the consumer grade stuff because they're selling a lot more of that. So my wager is there's a lot of Meguiar stuff that I'm missing out on. I've tried a lot of it, but not all of it. And so I think some things you'll see enter into my process that I didn't know about that I now do. D101, which is their really interesting all-purpose cleaner. I'm interested to try out for engines and interiors and things like that. Like I mentioned earlier, this vinyl cleaner, M110, 210. There's some superior engineering and chemistry behind the technology, the super micro abrasive technology, this SMAT technology that they use, or SMAT chemistry that they use. There's some superior testing and superior vetting and superior chemistry behind a lot of the stuff. And so I think it warrants people to try it out. Now, I'm not interested in choosing one line because I think, I don't think any of the Meguiar soaps can touch Adam's soap. And I think that they'll work. I think they do well. But again, I haven't tried them all, so I'm having them send me, Hyperwash, and I forget what their regular base car shampoo. And I'll try it, and I'll know really quickly if I like it more. So yeah, the Meguiar's line is just another one of those lines that I think has gotten left behind a bit because of marketing. But I would wager there's probably more professional detailers that you don't know of that are good at what they do, there's more of them that use Meguiar's than probably any other product combined. And you have, and I think it's a disservice to just choose one line if you're a professional and stick to it, but you can certainly get a good result.
One other question here. Someone just popped up about their wheel cleaner. We saw that in one of the videos. How did that? How did you think that worked compared to Adams or anything else?
Yeah,
that you used?
I mean, on a car like what we used it on, I think it makes sense. But I don't really find I'm finding an iron removing agent less and less important, especially for those of us that are either waxing or coating your wheels and maintaining them weekly, bi-weekly, every third week. If you're washing your vehicle, then using some of these things that we've been pitched or sold, I think, are less necessary. So I'm inclined to like I'm considering the less sophisticated wheel cleaners.
From a perspective, that you thought that one was a little bit more diversity to it.
Oh, did I say that? I didn't touch it, so okay. I think Marcus said that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is harsh, though. I'm certainly not going to sell the 1801. People will just be sending it back all the time. It's just too aggressive. There's so much. It's so concentrated, and that's what it's designed for.
Smell-wise, compared to something like Iron X.
It's that amplified, so it's smellier than which doesn't really bother me all that much. But I don't find the need for anything that aggressive, for the cars that I'm working on. Now, if I was a pro and I was dealing with if I was washing your car, I'd be all over it.
Hey, my car is getting washed right now, by the way.
Yeah, the other half of it.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the Meguiar's trip. What about after that? What happened? You posted a couple pictures from like a Porsche experience and maybe something else.
Oh shoot! So at the Meguiar's event, we had just a little open house, and 20, 25 people came, something like that. And so I discovered an amazing power cord that the guy kind of showed up to pitch it to me, which is cool. I like that. I enjoy the hustle. And so it's a power cord that locks. So when you plug in your polisher, it clicks in. Really, really slick. So we're going to be doing that. And so I found that from going to the trip. So that'll pay for my time for sure, because I'm going to provide people with that solution, 25, 50, 75, 100 feet in different colors. The thing is amazing. And then we also... so this happens to me all the time, where we have this grouping of people that are sophisticated, that watch this stuff, that are a part of it. And I get emails every day, it seems, from somebody saying, hey, I have this idea or that idea. And so I don't blow anybody off, but I read it, and sometimes I can take action on it. Most of the time I can't. There's only so much time in the day. And so this guy Neil, who came to the events, he when I was talking about bottles, he probably told me two or three times over the last few years, hey, I think I can help you. My uncle owns this company. It's not his uncle, but it's like his uncle. It's his father's best friend owns this company, and so who makes bottles. And he says, I think I can help you. I think I can help you. So I'm out there, and I'm in Irvine, and the bottling company is in Anaheim, which is like 10 minutes away. And so he sent me a message saying, look, I've told you about this before. I can get you in. We can get to an appointment. And I'm like, I don't want to freaking go. And then I was like, all right, let's go. So because we got these press-all bottles, and I'm not sure if these are right. And so now I'm adding a whole nother element of vetting to find bottles that I think I've already figured out. And so we go to this bottling company. It's like a 135,000 square foot facility. They're cranking out like 1 million bottles a week or something like that. And we sat down in a boardroom and got a bunch of bottles out. And the gentleman who owns the company says, look, I'll help you, but you have to, basically was saying honor the source. So if I make a gamble on you now, if you get big and you're buying millions of bottles, don't forget about us. I walk in this facility, I'm like, holy crap, this is a massive facility. But I guess in the world of bottling, they're not massive. But he's basically saying, if I help you by not having, million bottle or 50,000 bottle minimums each purchase, then, just don't forget about me. And so now we have to come up with a design. What I want is a squeezable bottle for soaps that matches a spray bottle that matches a gallon, so that they all work together and they all look similar. And I want a 25 and a 25.4 ounce and a 32 ounce and a gallon. and I want them to all look consistent, and maybe even a 5-gallon. So I want those to look consistent, so that way we could either generically brand them, we could brand them, we could actually product brand them, and give people different options and maybe different colors and different styles. And then, you know, eventually maybe chase a better sprayer, but we'll probably use Tolco sprayers or Press-All sprayers or something like that on them. And so really successful thing. And then I met a guy who's willing to take a flyer on us, and I'll only have to invest $20, $30, $40, $50,000 instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars to create the mold that we'll need once we figure out the bottle that we want. And so some of it is going to be matching. Most of it will be functional, so that'll be a combination of how it looks and how it functions, because I think most of us want an assortment of bottles that all have a similar look to them, so on your shelf or in your cabinet it all looks consistent. I want that. And then I'm going to chase figuring out, you know, in some cases it'll make sense for me to have things made and private labeled, and some things it'll make sense for me to co-label, and other things it'll make sense where I just buy the gallons and send you the gallon and you dump it in yourself. So I'm going to figure out what that product line looks like longer term. But the product line that I create is going to be very non-traditional. It's the same thing that I don't want to buy all Meguiar's products because they don't make the best in every category. So if I were to create a private label product line, then I would have a bunch of mediocre stuff with maybe 1 or 2 that were great. And that's what every single company does. It's the same as a retail model. You know, the simple way to build a business is to do it retail, where you just take on 10 product lines and carry every product, so that way you can hopefully cover everybody. I don't want to cover everybody. I want to cover us. I want to cover the people that are like me, in that they want a specific subset of excellence, and not just a bunch of okay, you know. And that's every single product line from every single company. It's a bunch of okay and a couple of goods, and in some cases a couple of greats. So I want to end up with a product line of good and great, and that means that I'm probably not going to be able to create that on my own. I'm not going to be able to go to one blender and have them blend me great, you know. I'm not going to be able to go to P&S and say, hey, let's make our private label line, and you make me a great product in each category. I only like 2 of their products that I know of. There's probably more that are good that I haven't tried. But I would rather fight the fight to go make it great, and go to Sonax and Meguiar's and Adams and direct to Warner or B&B or wherever, whatever blender, or Jack's Wax, or, you know, just go everywhere and figure out where the best stuff is.
So that all came about from just saying yes, basically, to this guy who wanted to help.
Yeah, he wants a bottle too, and he helped me out. He brought all the bottles that we use. You know, he brought a bottle of Pearl, and he brought some Adams stuff, and we laid it out on the table. We were tainting products by taking the sprayer out and putting another bottle to see, you know, just as we're kind of touching and feeling things and trying to figure out what works or what could work.
Gotcha. So anything else then after that happened out in California that...
No, and now I'm home and I have to go back there on Wednesday again.
Yeah, talk about that. What's the deal? Why are you going back to California next week?
So it's for the shoot for that, you know, social media company that's profiling us, our community, and so we're gonna again be part of the 2019 ad campaign called Community. I'm sure we'll see it here in the next several months. But I have to sign NDAs and all that stuff, so that we can't really talk about it, but it's going to be pretty sick. So I didn't think they just wanted 3 or 4 people that are part of the group, but then when they started to dig into the group, they wanted me to go, and so I'm flying back out there. So how do you say this? So I'm always candid with this stuff. So now I buy lots of stuff, and I buy lots of stuff on a credit card, and so I've kind of... And through working for Merrill Lynch and working for Raymond James in wealth management for years, I've become accustomed to staying in decent hotels and now flying in the front of the plane. And by front of the plane, I don't mean the front seat of coach. I mean front of the plane, right? If you get my drift. And so I'm willing to buy my own ticket because I hate traveling, and it's made traveling not so difficult for me. You know, you're even bigger than I am. Sitting in coach is like miserable. You can't even move.
It's not fun.
I mean, it's like you just go into it like, okay, this is going to be pain. And when you sit in first class, it's not as bad. You know, it still sucks, but it's not as bad. I can actually move around. I've got room to, I don't have to like stay in a ball with my knees, and then inevitably some 5'1" woman puts her seat back and it smashes into you. It's like the worst. That's why I hate Southwest so much, because you got a bunch of people that are entitled, and everybody's entitled to their space, it seems like, except for me. And so anyway, I've basically told them, you know, because they were paying for me to fly, and I said, look, you don't have to pay for me. I'll just get there myself. No, we want to pay for you. I said, okay, that's fine, but I said, don't think less of me, but I don't like to fly in the back of the plane, and I really don't want to stay at a Rochi motel, you know. So, but I'm happy to pay the difference or pay for it all. If you want to pay for it, I'd appreciate that, but. And so then, and then I said I prefer to fly Delta first class, because from Orlando to Los Angeles is better. And so, you know, she heard, you know, as long as I don't put them in the back of the plane, we're good to go. And so she goes, well, you know, it's like $1,000, like $700 difference between, you know, between a coach and first class seat, because I didn't say anything about first class other than I'd prefer to fly Delta first class. And she said, I'll put you in the front of coach. Is that okay? And I said, no. I said I was trying to be as polite as possible and just say, look, I'm uncomfortable enough and willing to waste the money, because you get there either way, but waste the money to make this not a anxiety-ridden, miserable experience for myself. So anyway, these people are going to think I'm a total douche snob, but anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. That how do you say that? Look, I'm so important that I am going to fly first class.
You got to just make a request. Rick would have been proud of you, Coach. Here's my request.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, well, I tried to. You have to make an exchange in value there, and it's not really much of a value to them. I get there either way, whether I fly on a $400 ticket or a $1,000 ticket. So yeah, but
all right. Yeah. So back to California next week. So let's talk about a couple things new in the store. We got the Karcher machines in.
Yeah.
So
and I've been talking about this for a while. It took us forever to get it all set up, but we now have K1700, K1700 Cube. The video will be out in a day or two here, you know, discussing that it's now available. Of course, we get it, and now we don't have 3.0 nozzles. It's the way it always frickin' goes with every product we do, is the company has 8 of them on the shelf, and now we need 800 of them. And so now we've got to deal with the supply's got to catch up to the demand. But we'll have 1700 Cube. It's $129 for the Cube, $139 for the 1700. The part of the reason why I didn't want to carry these is I don't want to compete with the fact that they're on sale everywhere all the time. But I think a lot of people, especially the people that we want to buy, really don't care about $20. So even if they're not wealthy, you know, they would rather just, you know, support the cause, if you will, to chase and improve this category. And then the byproduct, or the key advantage that we have, is that here's all the stuff to make this work well. We'll make it work like a Krensla, make it perform like it, you know, and basically we're selling the you know, the ECU tune and the suspension and the wheels and the brakes to make your Civic work great and function well and look good. And so we're doing that with the Karcher. So the reason why I chose to do it is they have this insane warranty, which they're going to hate me talking about all the time, but it's 3 years, no questions asked. You just call the number and they give you a freaking new one. It's amazing. It's almost like cheating. And so some people are going to say, look, I don't value the user experience enough to buy a $1,500 Krensla. This will be just fine. And I've come around to that idea that many people are, you know, can still be great customers and great humans and great clients and not be entitled and annoying and drive me crazy. And that just don't want to spend or can't spend that much money on a high-end piece of equipment. And I've known that the vast majority of people that buy stuff are good people and nice people. But I just didn't want to build a business where we were having to be on the phone all day, every day with people that are complaining about something that they shouldn't be complaining about. It's $100 pressure washer. You know, and I think a lot of people, even no matter what your socioeconomic status is, that, you know, if you had it for a couple of years, you're not even going to call the 800 number. You're just going to get something else. And so I think I've moderated on this idea that there can be a good, better, best. And I've always thought there is a good, better, best. I just wasn't going to serve the good or the inexpensive. But through this whole testing of all the pressure washers, I've found that it's good enough. You know, it's a lot better than I thought. Now the specs and the output aren't great, but it's good enough. And so I've decided to offer it mainly because of the other ancillary parts. People just don't want to go and buy this stuff all over the place. They'd rather just get it in one spot, you know, even if it costs them $25 more. And so I'm gonna offer that to those who want that. And so they're in the store, they're live, they're ready to go. We're gonna have a quick meeting here. We'll probably just open up the 3.0 stuff to pre-order or something, because we're going to be out of stock of it for months while MTM figures out that we need like 1,000 of these things.
So you can buy the machine right now to go out soon, but the packages...
We're going to turn the packages on probably here today or tomorrow.
Gotcha.
And we'll open it up to pre-order, and we'll send it when you get it. So one of the advantages of me doing it that way is we are so darn efficient out there. Like, look at the wands. We just have to be better at making sure people understand that when you buy it, whether or not it's there or not. So the easiest and simplest thing to do is to just put something out of stock and not let anybody buy it. But then, you know, from a business perspective and from a client perspective, I think it's more efficient to just have it available. Just put your money down and we'll get it to you very efficiently the millisecond that we have it and can. I like that model better, and the way to make that model work is just to just kill people with information. Here's what's going on, because I know I don't give a crap. I order something, as long as I know it isn't lost or I didn't lose my money, as long as I know they're working on it, and especially with how much we've shared and people know that we're, you know, if we have it, you know, and we're not backed up on something, like it goes out like in an hour or less, and we crank through this stuff. So there's some efficiency there that we gain an advantage if we just open things up to, call it pre-order, or just people to stack themselves in line. And then as soon as we get it to them. So it locks down your spot. Because otherwise, I mean, if we don't have it, chances are the manufacturer doesn't have it because I bought everything they got. And you don't want an alternative in this stuff. That's the whole point. I've tested all the alternatives. So just... you know, if you're looking for my advice and my experience, this is much more than an opinion. Opinions aren't necessarily based in any sort of findings or data. This is an experience that I have that I think a lot of people would. You can save a lot of time and energy making mistakes by just following along with what I'm suggesting.
So the key there is for us to basically over-communicate and say, listen, here's the deal.
Yeah, so what we're going to do here, we're going to work on this, is to have a product update blog. And so daily we'll have an update. So somebody's going to be responsible for that. And then each product that is part of the blog or the product update page on the site will have, you know, a little description in the top. So when something is in transit or something like that, you'll know that there's a reason why it didn't ship like that hour. Because a lot of times things just, you know, we work through everything that we have goes out either same day or early the next day. But a lot of the stuff, again, I just think it's more efficient to get people to take their spot. And from a business perspective, it helps me in that it can capture your money. And then some people are so entitled, they get so mad, like, I can't believe you charged my card and you don't have it. What do you want me? How else do you do it? I mean, of course your charge card, your card is charged. We don't even know what your card is. That's the whole point. Otherwise, you'd have potential, you know, security issues. Like, and a lot of times it's older guys that don't know how the world works. So we will be installing. So I've been resistant to this for quite some time. Again, I'm doing an atypical model here. We're not going to have reviews on the website. Reviews to me are useless. I don't read reviews. I know many of you do, but you're reading stuff from people that either love the product and are justifying their purchase, or they hate it because something went wrong, like it didn't show up or was damaged or something like that that was a lot of times out of control. And then there's like 2 people who are just benevolent, beautiful humans that go and review every product because they want to better the world. But that is very rare. And how do you discern who those people are? And so reviews, I think, are dumb. I'm not doing reviews. And what was the other thing? Oh, I've been reluctant to have a phone number. Not because I don't want to serve people and I don't want to get the answers to them, but because we get these old weirdos who call and talk to us for 2 hours straight. And they want to get me on the phone because they don't have anything else to do. And I don't want to do that. It'll be miserable. And then I'll quit this job and go do something else. And so I've been reluctant to have a phone number because we provided enough information. And I don't like to reward lazy. I know this is not the right customer service attitude to have. I hate that term, customer service. It's stupid. By customer service, you mean you want something for free and you want you're entitled. I've never once, like, for instance, here's an example that yesterday I ordered some blue jeans cables, and I ordered 3 of a high-speed HDMI cable, and only 2 of them came. And so I don't want to call them, and I don't want to berate them, and I don't want to ask for free stuff, and I don't want to, I don't have time for that. I don't have energy for that. But shoot them a nice email saying, hey, I'm in the same kind of business you are, so I know this is probably an oversight, and I just snapped a little picture. I bought stuff from you. I plan to buy more from. Give them a little backstory, just to set the tone, so it's not like I'm entitled to something. Hey, I only got 2 instead of 3. Oh, great, oversight. Send it to me. So having a phone number for people to call and yell at you is something I've been reluctant against. But we're going to have to do it. I mean, we've gotten big enough to where, and we'll sell more stuff if we have access. There's a lot of older dudes that don't know how to, the internet's some mystery machine to them. And so we're going to have that available. I don't have to worry about them watching this because this is too sophisticated. But we do provide a solution that's very unique, that, I'll easily be able to justify a position. So Kyle starts in about a week and a half. So we'll have a phone number and a dedicated customer service person that's going to really understand the product. I'm going to train him. I'm going to beat it into his brains. I would be the best customer service person because I'm the one who made all this crap up. But we're going to have Kyle immersed in this stuff. And then longer term, probably have to have a team. And Meguiar's really turned me on to this idea. They have a team of 5 dudes who just sit there and answer questions all day. It's just a good value add. And what I'm thinking about doing is setting a 5-minute time limit that the phone just hangs up after 5 minutes. So be efficient. Get your freaking questions in and get it done.
And then it cuts you off.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
And your phone number's blocked from calling back. How do you think that'll work for customer service?
I don't think that'd go well.
Maybe I'll do it in the message, and just there's this transaction that we're entering, and I'm sure some people are getting heated about the audacity that this guy has. There's a relationship that we're developing here, and so let's say like when we. When I hire Kyle, we'll be in relationship. It's just 2 humans doing something together. I happen to be paying him, but we're in relationship. And so if I just hire him and say, you're hired, and do nothing, we set no expectation, we had no agreements, we had no time when you come and go, it's just open-ended, then it's not gonna be a good relationship. He's not gonna know what to do. I'm not gonna get what I expect. And we just have this pure open-ended thing where there's nothing gets done. And he might do some stuff, but is it going to be the right thing? So the same thing with a client and business relationship, if we don't set some sort of expectation, some sort of ground rules, here's what I expect from you, I know what you expect from me, or at least let me teach people, here's what I can deliver on. I can't hire 37 people to have 2-hour conversations about something I've already given you the answer to. And so I'm going to be, I'm kind of do it in jest, but like we might do on the initial call in to say, you're going to be cut off after 5 minutes, so get your crap in, and kind of teach people what we can deliver on. That'll set their expectations up properly and lead us hopefully to more success. And I don't want to breed a lazy base of clients who just want to call and get the answer when we've already given it to them. And so part of not having a phone number has made that very easy. Just go read the darn description on the product, and I guarantee you we've answered everything you need in most cases. So anyway, we're going to build a call center and a center of people that are well trained. It's going to take us a while, but make it not an entitled customer service thing where you're entitled to everything, but make it to where we're delivering on the service we say that we're providing, and then set expectations there. Because what I don't want to end up with a bunch of douchebag clients who just feel entitled. I'm looking for a bunch of nice people that we can be in relationship with, and I'll bend over backwards. How many people do I call at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, from my couch, and I want to breed a relationship like that.
Ryan Millerick has a good point here. Don't worry, Ryan. Please don't offshore the call center if you do set up a phone number.
That'll never frickin' happen.
No,
then the call center's pointless. Just cancel it. And make it email based only. Because then you end up with people who don't know anything, and then they can only operate on a card. I'm going to give people that are working for this department the ability to make a decision on the call. If it's a big, like a $2,000 decision, then I want to get some approvals for it. But I don't think anybody is fearful of calling a place and then they say, look, I don't have the answer to that, but let me get it to you and I'll get right back to you. And then, if it's us, we're going to execute on it. We're going to screw up some stuff and we're going to make some people angry at times, but we're going to execute. We're not going to just not call people back. That's insane. There's a lot of people like that just don't call people back. They don't email back. They don't respond back. And having a phone number would be another good backup for the dudes who have an AOL email address that doesn't work, and then they berate us all over the place that we're not responding. It is impossible that we're not responding. I've got 7 layers deep of people looking at emails and making sure that we're responding to everything. So, yeah.
Let's talk a couple other things in the store. And there was a question here. Somebody asked about the hose plugs, if we'll have more, if that was just a one-time deal. We will have more. They're on the way right now. Hopefully tomorrow is when we get those in. I think Kevin's watching right now, actually. So, yes, we're getting more of those in. Comets. Do we have an update on Comet pressure washers?
No. Well, we got 50 or 75 coming when they come. Who knows? So, if you got one on order, you're just going to have to be patient with this. It's going to take a while for them to catch up to the demand. And so we're going to be doing, my guess this will be a pre-order type thing for quite some time. Because it's a small company and they're bringing them over from Italy and they're probably going to have screwed up batches. We went through this whole thing with Krenzla. When you take a small, obscure company and then you blow up their spot, it can mess things up.
Take some time to catch up for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Membership, an update on the membership program. Is there, I think we talked about this before, a date when it's supposed to start up?
Yeah, the goal would be to make it live on June 1st. No, July 1st. So July 1st through the end of August. We designed a really cool T-shirt, I think, with all my goofy sayings on it. So we'll have it'll be black with like an orange bolt with different sayings. It'll be pretty cool. Ryan's out there working on hats right now, so we'll have some cool hats. And of course, so those will be able to purchase outside of the membership program, and then you'll be able to sign up for a membership. And I've got a really cool again, the whole point of the membership program is going to be it's going to be called Inside the Hex. So it'll be access to life, follies, wins, losses, an openness like I have with this thing. You know, like me admitting that I'm a snob and I want to fly first class. That kind of openness. And the membership, my idea behind the content in the membership platform is to provide an openness to that. And what we're going to have is we're going to have a camera sitting on everybody's desk that we're going to capture like things that go on that are whether it's of interest or not will be up to the end consumer. But I'm going to share the processes of whatever it is I'm doing, and do that behind the paywall. Again, I'm still going to be just as transparent. Nothing is going to change on the current free platform. This will just be extra, over and above. And you know, I'm such a dynamic human that there's so much more information that I haven't told. Seriously though, I think there's going to be some things that we'll share that are going to be of interest, especially for those that are young. As I fumble through building this business, I'm going to learn so much so quickly at such a pace that I've already learned so quickly. And I think some of that information, like, I wish that others would share it, so I'm going to share it. And I'm not afraid to look like an idiot. And so that's what the whole concept of the membership is going to be. What's going on with the internet? It's not working.
Mine's having issues, but we're still good to go over there, I think. A couple quick questions to fire off here for you. Do you have a recommendation for a mechanic's seat? Like, what do you use when you're at home in the wash bay scooting around, or do you have one here that you prefer?
Yeah, I use that Griot's Garage one, which it's just I guess it's a Chinese thing that a lot of companies have bought. Like Adams has the same version of it. So, but I have the Griot's one.
All right, what kind of phone case do you have on your iPhone there? Do you know?
Apple, the actual Apple one. It's the I used to do the leather one, but I much prefer now just the neoprene, the rubber one. It's just way better. I don't like big giant cases on my phone.
It's nice and simple.
Yeah.
Sleek.
Yep.
Wallet. Somebody asked if you have a slim wallet or you got the George Costanza like wallet with.
No, I have a what's it called?
Ridge.
Yeah, the Ridge
that
wallet, one of these. And mine looks almost identical to this.
Oh.
And I just recently graduated to an Amex Platinum. I'm excited about that.
What does that get you?
Nothing. It gets me $500 lighter. It's a metal card.
Oh, okay.
It's to my goal to have an Amex Black someday. So, but then when they send you the bill for whatever it is, the $7,500 initiation or whatever someday, yeah, I don't know that I'll be able to pony up that for nothing.
That's the black card in 7,500.
Supposedly, you don't know until they invite you. It's not something you can just get. It's an invitation. So you have to spend some number of dollars. Now, I'm using the card to buy inventory, so this is why I look like I'm rich when I'm really not. So because we're buying inventory, and a lot of it I buy through the card because it's more efficient than, we buy, several $100,000 a month on the card. And so, at some point I may get an invitation. So I want to transition everything to Amex. Their travel site is better. Their rewards are better. And now I have access to lounges since I'm traveling all the time, and I get to the airport 2 hours early. It stinks. It seems that every flight I've been on has been jam-packed full for the last year and a half. It's a sign of sort of economic, the economic state. But a lot of times there's just no room to sit anywhere and plug in and do work. And so the lounge has become useful because you can sit in somewhere comfortable at a table and plug in. Their Wi-Fi is generally better and things like that. So that's the main reason I got the card. I could either pay $500 for access to the lounges for all this traveling I'm doing, or I could just get the card and then get the benefits from that.
Update on bottles from Pressall. I can answer that one there. They are in the United States, but they're not to us yet. So they came into the port of Charleston, and we're working on getting them here now. So
hopefully we don't have to pay a lot of import cost.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Just bought a used car. Paint is in good shape. This is from Trevor on Facebook. I washed and topped with bead maker only. When it's time to add a sealant or wax, do I need to strip whatever is on the paint already? I have no idea what is on it now other than the bead maker. It's not coated, though.
Yeah, just use the decon wash and then auto scrub it, or iron remove it, auto scrub it, and then you should be good to go to polish it. So yeah, I would want to polish it for sure.
You posted a picture, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, of the 2 new Sunjo pressure washers that you got, the 9004 and 9007. So what's the plan with those?
Yeah, I'll be testing them mainly just for the spreadsheet, so I can compile the data, and then I'll have to get the some of the AR blues, and then we can kind of clean up and finalize the spreadsheet, and then we'll have to order the new Greenworks just to test those out. They're probably the same thing, but the new Greenworks have to do Briggs and Stratton. So there's another couple of dozen pressure washers, but I had to resist the urge to buy like 1,000 of pressure washers, so I bought 2. 2 I can handle.
That's good.
Yeah. And then I was feeling good about that, and then all of my new subwoofer boxes showed up that I've got to build. So,
and what's the cost on those 9004 and 9007? That's like
they're
step
like
up, right?
$400.
Okay.
I'm like, threes, mid to high threes on both of them. One is more pressure, less flow, and the other is more flow, less pressure. But they appear to be pretty much the same pump.
Question here from Il Padrino on Instagram. Did you see anything in Leno's garage that maybe you thought you would enjoy having as a car?
No, I mean, his style of car is very different from mine. He has a vintage, I think he has a 356 Porsche, and he has like a 72 or 73 911. But yeah, I mean, the NSX is interesting to me, but he has like the very first NSX. He has a GT350R. Of course, the P1 is cool, but nothing. I'm just so simple, and I want an M3 and a GT3, and then maybe something unique along the way just to experience. Like I'm gonna buy a Corvette next just to experience it. But yeah, he has such eclectic taste. I'm much simpler than all the stuff that's at Leno, so I don't really get all excited about cars like some people do. It's just I want to. I wish I was like a car savant or aficionado and just walked in there and knew everything. It's just not my passion. My passion is the garage and all the gear.
Would you ever consider a DA rental program for those of us that detail infrequently but desire to detail well?
That's not a bad idea. And I think with the vast majority of people, we could trust them to not jack it up. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't think anybody does that. We could turn that on pretty quickly.
Says Anuj on Instagram asked that one. I think that's how you pronounce that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Do you have any thoughts on WeatherTech floor mats? Are they worth the cost, or do they just make your car interior ugly?
I hate those things. They're so stupid.
I says if you need one, that's the one to get.
Punted them back to them immediately. They're supposed to be laser precision cut, but they make them. They don't freaking fit. They're all floppy, and I hate them. We know what the rubber ones that I like the OE Ford F-150, like the Raptor ones, where they're not trying to cover every square inch. It's just a rubber mat that's cut well. I hate that they're supposed to be precision, and then they kind of go up on the footwell, and they just look stupid. I hate those things. I know people love them, but I just think they're hacky. They're precision build, and they look great, but they just don't fit. I don't know. So
I think they appeal to a different market. You're not going to be spilling Fruity Pebbles and stuff on your floor.
Yeah, but that's why I bought them from Michelle's Tahoe, thinking this is what I need, because she's going to ruin this thing. And then the darn floor mats are they come halfway up the footwell, and they're just not like they're just excessively big, and then they get floppy, and they're just terrible. They just need to be smaller. Dude, if you made it smaller and tighter and not so big, I think they'd be great.
Well, WeatherTech,
there you go.
Smaller ones like that.
Whatever. The ones I bought suck balls. I freaking hated them.
You bought the scan.
They were like $500 for the set. They were amazing. And I got them. I'm like, this sucks. And I sent them back. It's like the freaking Quick Jack. And I have an inherent rebelliousness where I don't like what everybody else likes. And I don't think I'm doing that just to be stubborn. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So there you
What
go.
the heck's going on with your
Um,
computers? Open a new window or something. You're driving me crazy with this.
Good. Let's see. This is a good question. Since you went to Meguiar's recently, is there any chance you'll be going to Griot's up in Washington? I'd love to see how they answer your question about the foaming surface wash. So, Griot's or any other suppliers or that you'd want to go visit? And
I don't know about griots. They, every encounter I've ever had with them, and I'm like the biggest griots fan ever. I had everything that they made, and love their products, and I just think something about them, like they're not open to. Part of it is an obliviousness to what's going on and detailing in general. That's what took them so long to come out with a long through DA, and then when they hired Jeff Brown, and then went and made their own, their own sort of professional line, which was helpful. I don't know. It just seemed to have lost touch, and I don't know. I still like some of their products, and I need to get on the phone with them, and we'll see. Every encounter I've ever had with them just wasn't a pleasant experience, with them professionally. As a customer, it's always been great. I've always had a great experience with them. But that's because I never talked to them. I just bought stuff. But as I want to become a much bigger customer, maybe they just do enough business where they don't care. I don't know. Adams has always been so receptive to cross promotion. Meguiar's is way bigger than both of those combined. Adams, Griot's, all of them, and I've just found them to be very, very odd, and sort of there's a lack of understanding of what's going on in the industry. But then again, they've always been a bit rebellious and kind of creating their own stuff. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. But every encounter I've ever had has just been odd and not very receptive to me. Like when I'm glowing anytime I talk about that to any of these people, like just as a super fan of the products, the bottles, the design, all the stuff that they do. There's an inherent cheesiness to the design of things behind griots, but there's a they have more resources, and they haven't slacked on like bottle design and things like that. They're the only company that I know of that have really invested in their own bottles. I mean, I guess Geon maybe, but Geon bottles aren't great. They just look cool. And so they've developed their own sprayer and things like that. So they've invested in that other companies just haven't done, which intrigues me. But like I've got to call them because I really like their window cleaner better than anything I've tried, and I'm going to try to get that in the store, and they're probably not going to be very receptive to that. I don't know. Maybe my experience will change over time when I'm buying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of their stuff.
They'll like
if
you
they
more.
let me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Bryce, will you bring up the questions on the screen over here so I can see them, because I'm having issues?
Just open a new window. I'm telling you. Close that whole thing.
All right. There goes everything.
Yeah.
Monterey Meetup is coming up at the end of April. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone asked, are there any plans for Northeast Meetup? So how do these work? Do other people set
no
them
more
up?
freaking meetups. I'm not doing any meetups until next year. So I just can't get on another plane. I'm not doing it. So the entire second half of the year, I'm going nowhere. Because I got to go to Seattle. I've got to go to, you need to restart your computer. It's blowing up. Yeah. I don't know. What am I asking? What am I
Northeast,
answering?
like if someone wanted to set up a Northeast Meetup next year, not this year, how would that go? Would they contact you? Would they?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not super enthused about meetups. I usually am when I get there.
It's the process of getting there and travel and.
Yeah. And then I don't know what to say. I don't know. And then I'm in charge. It's like I don't know what to do. It's like what do I? Then I just talk about myself the whole time because I don't know what else to do. I don't know. It's just hard. It just wears me out. Maybe I'm not cut out for the public life. This doesn't matter because I just have, I'm in my own room in my own house, and it's just easier. But yeah, I don't know. I guess email me and we'll figure it out. But and I don't want to discourage, the guys that have put it together have done great, and they're going to have a great time, and I'm going to have a great time. It just stresses me out, the whole thing, that I'm going to have to go there, and I'm going to have to like make sure everybody's cool, and I'm going to sit there freaking talking about myself the whole time, and I'm questioning, do people want to know this, or am I talking too much, or what's going on? And then I get in my own head, and it freaks me out. So yeah, less meetups if I can.
Here's a good question from Danny. Michelle last week talked about you stopping swearing almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Did you exchange your swear words for words like janky, stupid, etc.?
Yeah,
freaking, bullcrap, stuff like that.
That's the ticket. Yeah, not by design. It's just what comes out. Because I still inherently am angry and want to punch my fist through the wall 50% of the day, but I've lost the outlet.
Gotcha.
Of those beautiful words.
Now, on last week's podcast, what was maybe like, is there something that made you laugh or make you chuckle or think, anything like that stood out? We got a lot of good feedback about Michelle being on here. So
no, she kept it a little too PC. I was hoping she dug in a little bit more to the real. And she's always so afraid she doesn't want people thinking less of me.
Right. Yeah, she said that several times. She wanted to tell the truth,
Unleash
but not make
fury.
you look.
Yeah.
We almost got her riled up talking about laundry. That was
because out of context, for those who are looking to build a case on why I'm a horrible human being, and then when you have the wife, adding to that case, it's not helpful. Then there are people that are looking to build a case for why I'm not a horrible human being, and why everything's great. So she, I think, was very delicate in making sure that she didn't add fuel to the former, where people were looking to build a case of why I'm the worst person in the world. There was a comment on YouTube here just yesterday about, I was ranting in my wash and talk about education and the IDA, which I still haven't done yet. I need to get my certification done. I need to work on that. And my argument that even if you're a young or a detailer, it doesn't even have to be young, but a detailer that's making $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year or less, to invest $500 in becoming certified, and how that would not be a bad thing to do. And so, this guy, then he brings up $450 buckets, which I'm not sure where that comes from, and how I'm just duping all of these people into because it's all greedy and all this stuff. And so, this guy's made this case, which he has some valid points. I want to be rich. Everybody wants to be rich. Why the heck wouldn't you? It's freaking stupid if you don't. And how there's just this guy just has this conspiracy that I'm getting dick from the darn IDA. I have to freaking pay for it myself, and I'm going to pay for the whole thing, and then to pay for that thing on the wall to do it. But I'm going to have to pay for the curriculum and the test and all of that, and it's probably going to bring lots of people to the IDA, and just because it raises some awareness to it. But why in the world would you be angry about somebody choosing to educate themselves? And my argument is, the less you make, the more you'll benefit from that pursuit of knowledge. And yeah, you might have to forego something in life in order to obtain that. But that's the time to do it. I mean, how are you going to get to the next level if you don't try to educate yourself? It certainly isn't going to hurt you. So some of these cases that people make are just, I get a kick out of it. And the further into this I get, the more in jest I take those one or two things. And another guy made a comment about, on the last podcast I had made, and I did it in a video where I was talking about the taking advantage of the group and not providing an equal exchange in value, and then putting links to their own stuff. So most of the stuff I do, I don't think through. I just vomit out. I don't contrive content. I just whatever. You ask me a question, I answer it. But I've in certain instances, I make conscious efforts to drive behavior, and to make an agreement with people by discussing it, by talking about it. And so the whole taking advantage of the group, and so one guy said, "Look, you've been harping on this." and nobody wants to hear about you talking about one or two bad commenters, which I understand. But at certain instances, in order to drive future behavior, I have to address it and I have to come up with it. Like the whole, if you're 18 in a back, 150, 18 in a back alley, you don't want to see me kind of thing. Sometimes I have to call it out, call it for what it is. But in general, again, things are really positive. But that was one of the things that, like Michelle is attempting to be PC about it so that we don't end up with more of that, and then I end up having to harp on stuff that no one should really care about, and focus on the positive rather than the negative, which I totally agree with.
All right, so you mentioned your speakers coming in. They're all sitting out there. Do you have any updates on the home theater, speakers, what's next in that?
Yeah, I talked to Jason Dustle, who's the ISF tech that we made a video with, a couple videos with in the past. So the TV's, you got to get a few more, maybe another 100 hours on it or so, or about 100 hours on it, so that he can calibrate. He's got a new piece of equipment that he has coming, so we'll be shooting a series on calibration of that. I'm going to stick these 4 subwoofers in the room, so I got 3 more of the one that I built to put them in there to see if I enjoy it. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to want to stay with the far superior JTR design, and maybe just do a little different setup than that giant thing in the corner. Do JTR sealed or ported enclosures, just do smaller versions. So I'm going to play with that and share that part of the deal. I'm probably not going to build another, one on camera. Actually, I'm not going to build all 3 of them. I'm going to probably build one of them on camera, because I decided to do they have a DSP version 1200 watt amp. So the two in the front will be the DSP, and then the others will be the 1000 watt non-DSP version. And then we'll see if doing 4 18-inch subs in a room is reasonable.
So you're going to be building 3 more, or those already come?
Yeah, 3 more you have to build. Yeah. So I'll share some of it, but I'm not going to sit there and share the same process 3 more times. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I'll probably build the 2 DSPs at the same time, and then build the other one, by itself or something like that. I don't have enough clamps to build all 3 at the exact same time.
Any updates on the next version of OGHQ? What's the latest?
No. I've worked out exactly what the media, this 1,200 square foot house, what that's going to look like. I've worked out all the through my new friend Charlie Roberts, who's an audio engineer. He and I have kind of worked out how we're going to design the audio equipment in that room. I do need to call up a new tech and figure out what we're going to do with the video side of things. And so we'll figure out how we're going to switch and control that. So the audio side is figured out, the video side, and so basically I'm going to meet with the builder tomorrow to finalize all of that, and then we have to finalize the design of the main building, and then we have to get site plans and things like that to figure out if it's going to be feasible to get trucks in and out. So yeah, but I mean, we're looking at next year. My guess would be we'll break ground later this year. So we'll see. We kind of need it. I'm probably going to have to go find some sort of storage facility or something.
It's starting to get a little more crowded around here.
Maybe we do need a company truck.
I know where you can find one. Let's see here. There's another question here I wanted to get to. Do you know if the P&S guys will be at the Monterey event?
Yes. I don't know if Dave is coming, but Bob is coming. So yeah.
Gotcha. Will you and Michelle ever do a podcast together one day? Do you think that would work?
Maybe. Sure. I think we will.
All right.
I'll talk her into it.
Some people were asking about having your parents on too. That's come up a couple of times. I think they've been on some sort of.
Yeah, we had one back in the early days. If you go back in the not video but audio in the podcast, we have they have them that this was early on before they even started shipping stuff.
Yeah, your mom's not a fan of being on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle wants to know, what are your thoughts on Optimum products and their processes? I know you use O&R occasionally, but what about the others? Or O&R for other uses? It's my go-to for window cleaning and interiors now.
Yeah, I don't like it on windows. I don't like what it leaves behind. I don't want anything left behind on my interior windows. That's why I wanted an alcohol-based window cleaner. So, you know, the Optimum stuff is some of it's great, some of it's good, some of it's okay. I'm not a big fan of the polishing process. You know, their process is to is low speed, lots of like liquid. You know, so they have a spray on type polishing system, and then you wash out the pads. I don't know. I'm a bigger fan of traditional polishing methods, but it works. I mean, we did it and it works for sure. Their Optimum OptiClean, so their waterless wash is great. Their ONR as a rinseless wash is great. You know, their OptiSeal is good. I don't like how OptiSeal looks. It doesn't give you a lot of depth, but OptiSeal does work well as a drying aid and a topper sealant. OptiCoat is good. So their whole line is good. But I do prefer some other stuff, having used all their stuff. You know, I have used their entire line, except for some of the newer version in their new bottles. There's a couple of things I haven't tried, but yeah, I like Optimum. You know, I think it's a good line that, you know, if you were going to adopt one thing or one product line, just like if you're a detailer, it's a good way to do it, because, you know, you get better pricing if you buy everything from one spot.
Somebody is asking here, and this has come up a couple times recently, about the Mosmatic. I know we mentioned this, it seems like almost every week, but the new gun, that's still a long ways off, right?
I don't know about a long ways off, but I don't have any data. I don't have any information of when it's coming, but it's coming. We're getting there. And then we'll have the same problem with supply on it at some point.
Okay, how about the new towels that you're thinking about using with Bead Maker? Any updates there?
That's later this year. Yeah, they have to make them. And so they have to have it designed and then made and then ordered and then shipped, and then so we're a ways off from that one. But I would guess, you know, late summer, something like that. Yeah, right now you could use the FTW towel, which it'll be the same towel, it's just the new one's gonna be orange. Yeah, orange and a suede edge, which would be nice.
All right, let's see here. So you got Monterey, or are you going back to California next week? Then you'll be here for a whole week. That's good. And then back to California, Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, if you're interested in the Monterey trip, meetup, information about that is available in the Facebook group, right? That's
Yep.
Gotcha.
I think there's one spot left. We could squeeze in, or it's gonna be cool. I mean, we're gonna be doing some pretty interesting stuff. And then Seattle trip is in July. We've got the Smoky Mountains trip in June. I've got to go to the GT trip. All right, you know, at the first week of May. So yeah, we got a lot going on. That's why you can see I'm disgruntled in my travel. I'm just beat up, man. I just want to stay home. I just want to stay home and play with my toys in my garage, make some videos. I got so much to do, so much stuff. No more buying 2 cars and modifying them at the same time. It's just stupid.
Yeah, any updates on the either the 1M or M3 there?
The sway bar caused more problems than it was worth. I had the sway bar endlings on upside down on the M3, so I fixed that. So now the M3 feels great. I'm going to send Bryce and Ryan down to get me some my wheels from PSI here probably next week, because I'm just apparently never going to get down there to get them. And then I need to get the cars aligned, and we need to do some driving videos, some flyby videos of the exhausts, and so I've got to work out some of the sway bar on the 1M, so I had to get different shorter links for that. Yeah, the 1M is coming together, and I got some interior parts and stuff to go in. I got to get the steering wheel and a new shift knob for that. But it's coming together. It's looking good. The intake turned out great. The blow off is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's freaking cool. It sounds amazing in person. And I'm a pretty subdued dude, and people are like, "Ah, that sounds ricer." I'm like, well, you know, it kind of needs a blow off valve, so if we're gonna do it, I might as well do a cool one. And you know, so it sounds pretty interesting. I like it, so the chances are if I like it, most people will like it too, because I don't like anything, you know, especially when it comes to sound. So anyway, that's the story on those cars.
Got a question from Mark G24, another suggestion on Instagram here. Would you ever consider releasing training videos or doing it via live stream for people overseas or who can't attend a course in the US?
I don't know. It is something that's crossed my mind. Yeah, I mean, I guess someday maybe we're gonna have we've got a long way to go to be able to be freed up to be able to do something like that. We'll have to see how into training I get. You know, I'm gonna start hosting some things. We'll have to see if I have a passion for it. I've done lots of training individually of people and teaching and things like that, just showing my process. And what I've learned from all this access that I have and all the research that I've done, I think so. I think I could do a training, and I would put a very organized curriculum together. And I know what I want from a training, and so I could probably put something together that'd be decent. And there's this funny stigma that you get, like, since I'm on YouTube, that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? And my argument would be, well, when do you become a professor? Like, when do you get your PhD? Now it's easier because a university will confer that on you, but then when do you become like a fellow or a tenured professor? At some point, you just have to decide that you are, right? And so I've been all over the place and learned from so many different people and seen so many different processes and tried and failed a lot of stuff myself. And so I think I may be in my, I may not own a PhD yet, but I'm certainly well into my studies. And so you can be a master's and be a professor. You can be a bachelor's and be a professor. You can be a professor and not even have a degree. So at some point, I think I could just turn that on. But I'm not sure what that looks like. I think it would be a combination of boutique type one-on-one expensive trainings just to pay for the time. And then will be a bunch of 20, 30 people at a time. We could also host online type curriculum things where we could host 1,000 people, and have 2 or 3 people that were manning the questions in order to make it as interactive as possible. So I think there's some really cool things, but the most important thing for this is a facility. I need a facility to be able to do that, and that's probably what this will become. So they'll probably keep this building and make this a facility for that type of stuff. But who knows? I might do 2 or 3 of them and hate it. So I don't know if that's my path or not. I think I'll like it, but I'm gonna see if I'm any good at it, see if people respond to it, and then the only way to do it is just to do some of them. So yeah, I like the idea of online, but I like the idea of more sort of live online type events.
What kind of videos are we putting out this week coming up? What are we
have to finish up. There's some more interesting stuff from Meguiar. So the Meguiar stuff. I have one more, which I think is really interesting, of me, Dylan, and Jason Rose and the group at the Rupa's Advanced event talking about the wash, the protection process. Because Rupas is so focused on paint correction. But we had just kind of like a roundtable discussion. I don't know how it came out, so I got to edit it. But just us kind of ranting on and discussing different procedures and whys behind coatings versus waxes, and just having a real intelligent conversation, not just a marketing conversation on the topic of do you coat it, do you wax it, what do you do, how do you wash it, and having a discussion. It'd be funny. You'll see when we're talking about the washing process, you'll never see anybody so disinterested as Jason Rose as he's sitting there saying, "Oh, I don't give a crap about it. I get a bucket and some soap and I wash a thing." And that's the case with a lot of paint correction specialists and guys who are going to fix the paint anyway. So who cares about the wash? But to me, the wash is more fun, and wash is something I'm doing much more often, and so I want my wash game to be strong. Just for me, not for perception, but for me. And now if I was a detailer, I would put on a show. I would have the greatest stuff. I would have an amazing setup, and I would bring people in, and that's how I would rope them to do the expensive paint corrections, because my wash process was dialed. And I would involve them in the process and make it an event. That's what I would do. But hanging out with Billy for 3 or 4 days, I'm not doing any of that crap. I don't want a detailing company. To get to that level, to have a PPF guy, to have a paint correction guy, to have a tint guy, to have all of those, a dent guy, to have all those guys top level and have them work for you just isn't really reasonable. By the time you train them up to do well, they're going to go off on their own. You could probably rope them in, probably convince them to stay by carving out ownership and things like that, but it would be hard to get them to that level, and I would want to be at that level immediately. I don't want to work my way up to have, a high level detailing facility. I want it to happen immediately, and that just wouldn't happen. And I'm not willing to pick up the polisher and be the paint correction guy.
All right, well, that's about all the questions we have. I wanted to close maybe with last month, not going into specifics unless you just really want to, but we had kind of a big month around here, the busiest one yet by far. Yeah,
I think... I've been throwing out big numbers, right? I think we have a really significant company. I think this niche needs to exist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be chasing it so hard. And I've made some bold predictions along the way of what I think we could do. And so doing the pressure washing project was this innate curiosity I had for all these specs that are tossed out there. And then all these questions, that I was answering that weren't... I knew, but I wasn't certain of because I hadn't actually done it. I hadn't actually tested it. And so I had this assumption that if I did this work and if I scratched this curiosity itch, if I figured that out, that it would do really well. Like people, I want to know the answer, and I know that people want to know the answer because that's far and away the most questions we get. And then with the discovery of the Karcher being reasonable, and that we could make a Ryobi or we could make a Greenworks, we could make it reasonable, even a Sunjo or an AR. We could make it function reasonably well. I assume that would take us to the next level. And I was somewhat proven right in a single month. We did write it. There was a $597,000 in the month of March, and we're on pace to do something like that, something more than that. But I think that's where we're headed, to multiple millions monthly, because we're providing a solution that I think people want. I know I wish that I had somebody that I can call and say, hey, or email and say, hey, what do I need to buy? Or I wish that I had somebody when I was trying to figure out my Krenzel pressure washer to tell me what quick disconnects. And I don't want to talk to them. I just want to go on their website and have it tell me. And so that whole wish that I think, the wish that I had, I think other people have as well. And some people didn't even know they had that desire. And so as we start to reach more and more, the interesting thing is going to be, in the beginning, it was all of you guys watching, like most of you guys that are watching this podcast are pretty bought in to this idea. And so a lot of you that have honored me with some sort of purchase have been because you wanted to see, you wanted to just help me out. But it'd be interesting to see as this transitions and as your friend of your friend of your friend, because you guys that are watching this are the ones that have created this. My wager was that if I could influence guys like us, that you influence dozens of people in your lives, right? Because I know that my aunt calls me when she needs some advice on tires, or Adam LZ's messaging me what oil to get for his GT3 RS, and that expands outward to many, many people. And so if I could influence the influencers of this world, that it could be really, really significant. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds when we're dealing with people that are 2 and 3 and 4 people removed from the source, and how that's where I think driving behavior and setting expectations with people via the website is going to be so important. And in order to make sure we don't end up with this juggernaut of a horrible retail business like every other retail business, where everybody that comes here hates their day because they're just dealing with entitled people that are yelling and screaming at them all day because their soap was leaking when they got it. Instead, I'm hoping that we can cultivate a culture of both people that work here and people that are purchasing from us, because we're all in relationship together. We're all doing this together. And I think I'm really fascinated to see how this is going to grow and evolve, and how I'm going to be able to manage this. It's funny, I was watching a movie, The Intern, last night, which is what's his name? Robert De Niro is an old guy with lots of experience, and he comes in and helps Jules, who's Anna Hathaway, who started a business like ours, where it was just like an overnight success. And the interesting thing, the interesting part of that is that this older gentleman comes in and has a subset of expertise and changes the future direction of the corporation, because the young person, me, I don't know what I'm frickin' doing. You know, but I have a vision for what it should be and how it should operate. And you know, like last week we were out there messing with boxes and tape, and we're looking at it from different angles and saying, well, I'd like to put our logo on this, but it was 5.5 times the cost. And you did a quick calculation on what is the cost difference per year. Is that worth it? And so we were sort of thinking through this decision-making process of, I don't think anyone would argue that he's gotten a box from us that we're packing and shipping it better than pretty much any other place you've gotten things from. Other than like sometimes we send like the Cox hose reel, we've had to revamp how those are sent because we won't want it to get there all destroyed. And so now the next step is, do we put some branding on that to let people know who we are and what we're doing. So I think the other thing we haven't done is any kind of inorganic marketing. I haven't sent any emails. I haven't done any follow-up. I haven't done any Google shopping. We haven't taken any products to Amazon. We haven't done any SEO type stuff. We haven't done any Facebook or Instagram ads that at some point we're going to turn on. I'm hoping the membership program affords me the ability to do that, to take us to another level, to build the place that I think we all want to exist in this world, to make Obsessed Garage a destination. I don't want a retail store. I want to have a building that people can walk in and pick stuff off the shelves and ask the people that are dealing with the product all day about it. And hopefully they'll see me running around. They can track me down and we can chat about something. That's what I want. I want to build a place that people want to frequent. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to fight the good fight, and I'm going to have to do it a certain way. So it's really humbling to see numbers that are just astronomical. That in a company that's 24 months old to do a $600,000 in revenue in a 2,000 square foot facility is just insane. And I want to be able to share those numbers with you, and hopefully you don't hold it against me. The vast majority of those dollars just went back into it. In fact, all of it. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to pay the tax on all this stuff. So I'm going to want to share that process of figuring this stuff out with you as we work through this. But yeah, it's amazing. And then all of the people that are here are amazing to deliver on this, because I can't do it. I have to make the videos. I have to talk to people. I have to answer the questions. I have to follow up on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook on the content that I'm creating. And then, I have to create the content, but then have a Bryce and a Ryan help curate that content so that I can do more of it. It's cool. I mean, every day I wake up excited, angry that I don't have to take a leak because I'm wasting freaking time. And the whole idea of you own your own business so you can lay on the couch all day is ridiculous. I can't lay on the couch. I'm like working even when I'm sitting there dreaming up. Now I got to dream up stuff for you guys to do. To create the chaos in order to create the result. And the money is just a result. The money is not the target. The money is not the goal. The money is just a result, and it's just a confirmation that what I'm doing is real, and people want it.
For the record, you were laying out on the scissor lift the other day. You were, just so you know, full disclosure.
I was sick as crap. I thought I was dying.
He was passed out on the scissor lift.
I was very uncomfortable. And I may have drooled on one of the blue towels, so somebody's going to get some Matt Mormon DNA in their towel. I grabbed like a dozen brand new towels and laid my head on it. Next thing I know, I'm drooling on. So sorry about that to you. Wash your towels before using them, folks.
There you
That's
go.
the message.
All right, I think that's all we got for this week. We're right at 12:30.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll have more podcast stuff coming up here as I figure out what the membership program looks like, and then we create another schedule around free content as well as membership type stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with me here as we fumble through building Obsessed Garage as a destination, and thanks to all of you who have supported us along the way. It's much appreciated, not lost on us. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one.